Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the Valiant, staring at the screen in front of him. A weak signal blinked on the display, coming from somewhere deep in space that no human ship should be. The area was marked in red on every star map. It belonged to the Veltharian Empire, and they did not like visitors. Jake had been commanding the Valiant for 12 years. He had seen combat, rescued stranded crews, and navigated through asteroid fields that would have destroyed lesser ships. But this signal pulled at something inside him. Someone out there needed help. He turned to his crew. 43 people looked back at him, waiting for his decision. Lieutenant Sophie Grant stood at the navigation console, her fingers hovering over the controls. "We're going in," Jake said. No one argued. They trusted him. Sophie plotted a course through the massive asteroid field that bordered Veltharian space. The ship moved carefully, avoiding the spinning rocks that could tear through their hull like paper. The signal led them to a small escape pod floating alone among the debris of what looked like a recent battle. Pieces of destroyed ships drifted past, some still glowing hot from weapons fire. "Bring it aboard," Jake ordered. The cargo bay doors opened and pulled the pod inside. Jake hurried down from the bridge, with Sophie close behind. When they reached the cargo bay, the pod was already open. Inside lay a woman unlike any human. Her skin glowed with a soft silver light. Strange symbols covered her uniform, flowing like water whenever she moved. But what caught Jake's attention was the blood pooling beneath her. It was violet, shimmering like liquid starlight, and there was too much of it. "Get the doctor," Jake shouted into his radio. "Now!" Dr. Lisa Hayes arrived within minutes, her medical bag already in hand. She stopped when she saw the alien woman, her eyes going wide. "Commander." "Look at her uniform," Lisa whispered, kneeling beside the wounded woman. "Those markings. I studied them in the briefings. She's Veltharian royalty." The alien's eyes opened slightly. They were gold, shifting to amber as she looked at Jake. She spoke in a musical language that Jake's translator implant took a moment to process. "Please," she said, her voice weak. "The assassins. They will come back to finish what they started." Jake made his decision in seconds. "Battle stations. Sophie, get us moving. Maximum stealth. Lisa, save her life. I don't care what it takes." Lisa nodded and went to work. Jake watched for a moment as the doctor carefully examined the wound, then ran back to the bridge. For the next 18 hours, the Valiant played a deadly game. 3 Veltharian hunter ships swept through the sector, searching for something. Searching for the woman they had aboard. Sophie kept the ship hidden among the asteroids, using every trick she knew. The engines ran cold to avoid detection. The crew moved in silence, communicating with hand signals. During that time, Lisa worked without stopping in the medical bay. She learned the alien woman's name was Aria Vel Morinth, daughter of Queen Seraphine, third in line to the Veltharian throne. She had been attacked by assassins who wanted her dead, but the hunters were good. One of them detected a faint trace of the Valiant's ion trail. The ship appeared on their scanners, growing closer with each passing minute. Jake stood on the bridge, watching the hunter ship approach. He had a choice. He could jump to hyperspace and escape, but the gravity forces would kill their injured passenger. Or he could stand and fight against a ship twice their size with better weapons. He chose to fight. "All power to weapons," Jake ordered. "Sophie, take us into the asteroid field. Make them follow us." The battle started fast and brutal. The hunter ship fired, and the Valiant dodged, using the asteroids for cover. Jake led them deeper into the field, where the rocks spun faster and closer together. The hunter ship was larger and stronger, but the Valiant was smaller and faster. They weaved between asteroids that would have crushed the bigger ship. Jake's crew worked perfectly together, each person knowing exactly what to do. 2 more hunter ships appeared. Now 3 enemy vessels surrounded them. "We can't fight them all," Sophie said, her voice tight with fear. Then we make them fight each other, Jake replied. He guided the Valiant between two hunter ships, then cut the engines at the last second. Both enemy ships fired at where they thought the Valiant would be. Instead, their weapons hit each other. One hunter ship exploded in a ball of fire. The second ship spun out of control, crashing into an asteroid. But the third ship was ready. It fired directly at the Valiant, hitting the port engine. Alarms screamed throughout the ship. The lights flickered. Engine down, Sophie reported. We can't maneuver. The hunter ship moved in for the killing shot. Jake watched it approach, knowing he had no way to stop it. Then something impossible happened. The hunter ship suddenly stopped firing. It turned and ran, disappearing into hyperspace so fast it left a trail of energy behind. Why did they run? Sophie asked. The answer came seconds later. A massive ship appeared on their sensors. So large, it made their hunter look like a toy. The new ship was beautiful and terrifying, covered in symbols that glowed with inner light. It's a Veltharian dreadnought, Lisa said over the radio from medical. They must have tracked the princess here. A communication request appeared on the screen. Jake accepted it. A Veltharian man appeared, tall and stern, wearing a uniform covered in metals. His golden eyes fixed on Jake with an intensity that made him want to look away. Human vessel, the alien said, his voice deep and commanding. You are harboring Princess Arya Vel Morinth. Prepare to be boarded. Jake stood straighter, meeting those golden eyes. Admiral, the princess is badly injured. Our doctor is still working on her. Moving her now could kill her. The alien admiral was silent for a long moment. Very well. Our medical team will come to you. But know this, human, if the princess dies while in your care, your ship and everyone on it will pay the price. The transmission ended. Jake looked at his crew. They all looked back at him. Fear and determination mixed on their faces. We knew the risks when we came here, Jake said. We made the choice to help someone who needed it. Whatever happens next, we face it together. Sophie nodded. Together, the rest of the crew echoed her. Together. Jake hoped their choice to save one alien woman would not end with all of them dead. But even if it did, he knew he would make the same choice again. Some things were worth the risk. The Veltharian medical team arrived in an armored shuttle. They moved through the Valiant's corridors like soldiers, not doctors. Their leader was a stern woman, who introduced herself as High Physician Mira. She went straight to the medical bay, barely looking at Jake or his crew. Lisa stepped aside, letting the aliens take over. Jake watched through the window as Mira examined Princess Arya. The alien doctor's expression grew darker with each passing minute. Finally, after what felt like hours, Mira came out to speak with them. The admiral appeared on a screen, listening from his ship. The human physician did well, Mira said, and Jake heard the surprise in her voice. Without her work, the princess would already be dead. But the damage is severe. The assassins used a special poison. It stops royal blood from clotting. What do you need? Jake asked immediately. Mira's golden eyes fixed on him. A transfusion. But Veltharian blood will not work. The poison makes her body reject it. We need something compatible but different. Something that will help her body fight the poison. Lisa stepped forward, holding her medical tablet. I ran tests. Human blood type O negative is compatible with Veltharian biology. The proteins are different enough to bypass the poison but similar enough to keep her alive. Impossible, Mira said flatly. Cross-species transfusion has never been done. Neither has faster-than-light travel. Until we did it, Lisa replied. Commander Morrison has O-negative blood. We could try a small amount and watch how she responds. Jake did not hesitate. Do it. The Admiral's voice came through the speaker. Human, do you understand what you are offering? In our culture, blood debt is sacred. If you give your blood to save the princess, you will be bound to the royal family forever. Jake looked at the princess through the window. She was dying. Nothing else mattered. I understand that if I don't help, she'll die, Jake said. That's all I need to know. The transfusion began within the hour. Jake lay on a medical bed next to Princess Arya. Clear tubes connected them, carrying his red blood into her body, where it mixed with her violet blood. The process hurt more than he expected. A burning sensation spread through his veins, making him want to pull away. Arya's body shook violently as it fought against the foreign blood entering her system. Lisa monitored both of them closely, adjusting the flow rate whenever either of them showed signs of distress. Her body is fighting it, Mira said, watching the screens with worried eyes. But it is also accepting it. I have never seen anything like this. 3 hours passed slowly. Jake felt strange sensations moving through his body. Lisa explained that trace amounts of Veltharian biochemistry were entering his bloodstream, causing his body to react in unexpected ways. Finally, Mira stepped back from the monitors. It is working. Her vital signs are stabilizing. Jake looked over at Arya. Color had returned to her silver skin. She was glowing again. Not as bright as before, but the light was there. Her breathing became steady and deep. Arya's eyes opened, clear and focused for the first time since they had found her. Those golden eyes found Jake immediately. You are the human who saved me, she said, her voice stronger now. What is your name? Commander Jake Morrison, Earth Defense Fleet. Jake Morrison, she repeated slowly, as if memorizing the sound. I am Arya Vel Morinth. I owe you my life. Admiral Kairos appeared in the medical bay shortly after. He was even taller in person, his head nearly touching the ceiling. He walked straight to Jake. You have saved a daughter of the crown. Queen Seraphine herself is coming to this location. She will want to meet the human who gave his blood for her child. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Meeting an alien queen was not something he had prepared for. I just did what anyone would do. 31. Enter send. Jake felt his stomach tighten. No, Arya said from her bed, sitting up slowly. You risked everything for a stranger. For an alien, your people barely know. That is not what anyone would do. That is what only a hero would do. The next day brought the arrival of Queen Seraphine. Her ship, the Celestial Throne, made the dreadnought look small. It was a palace that could travel through space, covered in metals that told the history of her people in flowing script. Jake was brought aboard to meet the queen. He wore his best uniform, freshly cleaned by Sophie. She had wished him luck with an expression that said she thought he would need it. The throne room was the largest space Jake had ever seen on a ship. The ceiling rose high above, held up by crystal pillars that hummed with energy. The throne sat at the top of a pyramid of steps, each one carved with names of past rulers. Queen Seraphine sat on that throne, tall and beautiful and terrifying all at once. Her silver skin was marked with patterns that glowed from within. Her eyes held the weight of centuries. Commander Jake Morrison, her voice filled the room without echoing. You have done something that has never been done before. Through her, you are bound to my entire family line. Do you understand how important this bond is? Jake met her gaze without looking away. Your Majesty, I understand that I helped someone who needed help. If there are things about your culture I do not know, I am sorry, but I will not apologize for saving your daughter's life. The queen stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. Well said. You have courage, human. My daughter lives because of you. The Veltharian Empire is in your debt, but the blood debt is more than gratitude. It is law. You are now bound to protect my daughter for as long as you both live. I need to return to my duties with Earth Defense Fleet, Jake said carefully. And you will, the queen replied. But understand this, the bond between you and Arya is real. It will not go away. Distance may separate you, but the connection will remain. We will speak again, Commander Jake Morrison. I am certain of that. Jake returned to Earth 3 days later. His ship needed repairs, and his crew needed rest. The Earth Defense Fleet welcomed him back as a hero. News of his rescue of an alien princess had spread across human space, but something was wrong. Jake felt it immediately. He could sense Arya in his mind. Not her thoughts exactly, but her emotions. When she was happy, warmth spread through him. When she was worried, a cold feeling crept into his chest. When she was in danger, pain shot through his head. It happened twice in the first month. Both times, Arya was on diplomatic missions that turned dangerous. Both times, Jake felt the pain and fear as if it were his own. He could not focus on anything until the danger passed and the pain faded. Dr. Lisa Hayes noticed the changes in him. She ran tests, took scans, and studied his brain patterns. Your neural patterns are changing, she told him after 2 months. They are synchronizing with hers. You are not just aware of her emotions. Your bodies are beginning to match each other's rhythms. When she sleeps, you get tired. When her heart beats faster, yours does too. What does that mean? Jake asked. Though he suspected, he already knew. It means you need to see her. The bond was designed for people who stay close together, not for those separated by light years. It is becoming painful for both of you. Jake felt a sudden spike of longing that was not his own. Arya was thinking of him again. 1 week later, Queen Seraphine appeared on every broadcast channel across Earth. Her image filled screens in homes, offices, and public spaces. It was an unprecedented use of human communication networks. People of Earth, she began, her voice calm but commanding. I speak to you to request the return of Commander Jake Morrison to Veltharian space. My daughter, Princess Arya Velmorinth, needs his presence to fulfill sacred obligations of our people. I promise he will be treated with highest honor and returned safely. Earth Command contacted Jake immediately. Admiral Stevens appeared on his screen, looking troubled. Morrison, we can refuse this request. You are not legally required to go. But it would hurt relations with the Veltharians. Jake finished for him. Yes. Probably badly, Stevens admitted. But you are a human being, not a tool for diplomacy. The choice is yours. Jake felt another pulse through the bond. Arya was anxious, hopeful, and afraid all at once. I will go, he said. The journey to the Veltharian homeworld took 2 weeks on a royal courier ship. The vessel moved faster than anything humans had built, crossing distances in days that would take human ships months. The crew treated Jake with a respect that made him uncomfortable. They called him blood-bonded and bowed whenever he walked past. Captain Nix, who commanded the courier, invited Jake to dinner on the 5th day. She explained what the crew's behavior meant. You carry the blood of Princess Arya, and she carries yours. In our culture, this makes you royalty by connection. Some believe you are closer to the princess than her own siblings. Blood shared in life is stronger than blood shared at birth. That seems extreme, Jake said. Perhaps to humans, Nix replied. But we Veltharians live by ancient codes. Blood is sacred. Life is sacred. You gave both to save one of our most precious daughters. How could we honor you less than you deserve? When they finally reached Velthara Prime, Jake could not believe what he saw. The planet was beautiful beyond words. Silver cities sparkled beneath 3 moons that hung in the sky like pearls. The royal palace was built into a mountain, its towers reaching toward the clouds. Princess Arya waited for him at the landing platform. She wore robes of deep violet that matched the color her blood had been before the transfusion. She looked healthier than when he had last seen her. Her silver skin glowed bright in the sunlight. But her eyes showed the same exhaustion Jake felt. Jake Morrison, she said formally, though warmth flooded through their bond. Welcome to Velthara Prime. Thank you for coming. Your Highness, he replied, bowing as Captain Nix had taught him. Please, when we are alone, call me Arya. We are beyond such formalities now. She led him through corridors that took his breath away. Gardens grew crystals instead of flowers. Ceilings were painted with the history of her people. Everything glowed with soft light. They reached a private chamber overlooking the capital city. As soon as the doors closed, Arya turned to him. "I am sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I am sorry for the burden this bond has placed on you. I never wanted to trap you. You did not trap me. I chose to save you. But you did not choose this." She gestured between them, indicating the invisible connection. The bond was supposed to be temporary, a way to ensure the protector stays close until the royal recovers. But something happened during the transfusion. Your blood and mine merged deeper than anyone expected. The bond became permanent. Jake felt his heart sink. Permanent? The Queen's physicians have studied both of us through remote scans. They believe that because the transfusion happened during combat, with both of us under extreme stress, our bodies created a connection designed to survive trauma. We bonded not just as protector and protected, but as battle partners. What does that mean for us? It means that separating us causes pain. The longer we stay apart, the worse it gets. Eventually, it could kill us both. Jake sat down heavily. "So I can never go home. That is why my mother summoned you. She wants to find a solution." Arya knelt in front of him, taking his hands. Her touch sent warmth through the bond. "But Jake, there may not be one." The throne room was designed to make visitors feel small. Jake stood at the bottom of the crystal pyramid, looking up at Queen Seraphine on her throne. Hundreds of nobles, advisors, and generals surrounded him, all watching with curious eyes. Arya stood beside him, wearing formal court robes. Through their bond, Jake felt her nervousness mixing with his own. "Commander Jake Morrison," the Queen's voice filled the vast space. "You have been summoned to address a crisis that has never happened before in Veltharian history. The blood bond between you and my daughter has become permanent and unbreakable. My physicians tell me that separation causes both of you harm that will only grow worse with time. Is this what you understand as well?" "Yes, Your Majesty," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady. "Then we must find a solution. I will not lose my daughter to a slow death by separation. I will not condemn the human who saved her life to the same fate." The Queen leaned forward. "I have consulted with my council, with religious leaders, with scientists and historians. There are only 3 possible paths forward." She raised one long finger. "First, you could remain here permanently. You would live in the palace as Arya's bonded protector. You would be granted citizenship, title, and all honors due to one joined to the royal family. But you would never return to Earth." Jake felt his chest tighten. Never see Earth again? Never see his family? His friends? His home? The Queen raised a second finger. "Second, Arya could give up her royal responsibilities and return to Earth with you. She would be stripped of her title and inheritance. She would be exiled from her homeworld, living as a common person among humans. The scandal would be enormous, but she would survive." Shock rippled through the bond. Jake glanced at Arya and saw tears forming in her golden eyes. Give up everything she was, everyone she loved? Third. The Queen raised a final finger, her expression growing darker. "You could undergo a dangerous experimental procedure to sever the bond. My physicians believe it is possible, but the survival rate for both subjects is less than 30%. Many who have survived similar procedures were left with damaged minds." Silence fell over the throne room. Jake felt hundreds of eyes watching him, waiting for his response. Through the bond, he felt Arya's confusion. Her duty to her people fought against her concern for him, her own wishes tangled up in traditions and expectations. "May I speak plainly, Your Majesty?" Queen Seraphine nodded. "Please do. All 3 options require one of us to sacrifice everything. Either I give up my life on Earth, or Arya gives up her royal heritage, or we both risk death and brain damage. These are not solutions. They are just different versions of the same tragedy." Angry voices rose from the nobles around them. One elderly male with silver hair stepped forward. "How dare you question the Queen's wisdom, human?" But Seraphine raised her hand for silence. "Continue, Commander. What would you suggest?" Jake took a deep breath. "I suggest we think differently. Earth and Velthara are allies now. What if instead of one of us abandoning our world, we become a bridge between them? Arya could serve as a cultural ambassador to Earth, living there part of the year. I could do the same here. We maintain our bond, serve both our peoples, and neither of us has to give up who we are." The throne room exploded with debate. Some nobles shouted approval, while others declared it impossible or politically disastrous. The Queen raised her hand again, bringing silence. "A creative solution," she said slowly, "but problematic. Arya is a princess of Velthara. Her duties cannot be set aside easily. And you, Commander, are an officer of Earth's military. Would your superiors approve of you spending half your time in alien space?" "I do not know," Jake admitted. "But I think it is worth asking. The alternative is forcing impossible choices on people who did not ask for this situation." Arya spoke for the first time. "Mother, I believe Jake's proposal has merit. Relations between our peoples are still fragile. Having a permanent diplomatic presence who truly understands both cultures could strengthen our alliance. Who better than someone bound by blood to demonstrate our commitment to cooperation?" The Queen studied her daughter for a long moment, then turned her gaze back to Jake. "You surprise me, Commander. Most humans we have encountered think in simple terms. Yes or no. Stay or go. Fight or flee. You think in possibilities." She stood, her robes flowing around her like liquid starlight. "Very well. I will present your proposal to Earth's leadership myself. If they agree, we will establish a new protocol. The first blood-bonded partnership, a diplomatic position shared between our worlds. But know this, Commander Morrison." She walked down the steps until she stood directly in front of him, towering over his 6-foot frame. "If you accept this role, you accept responsibility, not just to my daughter, but to both our peoples. You will be watched, criticized, and held to impossible standards by those who resent our alliance. Your life will never be simple again. Are you prepared for that?" Jake met her eyes without looking away. "Your Majesty, my life stopped being simple the moment I pulled your daughter from that escape pod. I am already living with impossible standards. At least this way, I am living with purpose." For the first time since he had met her, Queen Seraphine smiled genuinely. "Well said. Then let us see if Earth's leaders are as wise as you are brave." The negotiations took 3 weeks. Queen Seraphine personally visited Earth, the first Veltharian monarch to set foot on the human homeworld. She met with the United Earth Council, with military leadership, with cultural representatives and scientists. Jake testified before committees, underwent medical examinations, and answered the same questions hundreds of times. Through it all, Arya remained by his side. Her presence through the bond gave him strength and comfort. They spent their free time exploring Earth together. He showed her the Grand Canyon, the Northern Lights, the Great Barrier Reef, and ancient temples across Asia. She was amazed by Earth's diversity, so different from Velthara's crystal cities. Finally, the Earth Council reached their decision. Admiral Stevens delivered the news to Jake personally. "They have agreed. You will be given a special diplomatic commission, split between military service and cultural exchange. 6 months on Earth, 6 months on Velthara. The princess will mirror your schedule. You will both undergo intensive training in each other's cultures, languages, and political systems. It is going to be hard work, Morrison." "I understand, sir." Stevens smiled. "I think you do. For what it is worth, I think you are doing something important here. Maybe one day, bonds like yours will not be so rare. Maybe humans and Veltharians will work together so closely that this kind of connection becomes normal." Jake returned to the Veltharian diplomatic vessel to share the good news with Arya. But when he arrived, he found Queen Seraphine waiting for him instead. Her expression was serious. "Commander Morrison, we need to talk about something I have not yet revealed. Something that complicates your arrangement considerably." She led him to a private chamber protected by technology that prevented anyone from listening. When they were alone, she finally spoke. "What I am about to tell you is known only to the royal family and our highest physicians. The blood bond you share with Arya is not behaving as it should." Jake felt fear rise in his chest. "What do you mean?" "The bond is growing stronger, not becoming stable. Our initial assessment was wrong. We believed that with closeness and time, the connection would reach balance. Instead, it continues to deepen. Your neural patterns are not just matching, they are beginning to merge." "Merge? What does that mean?" The Queen's golden eyes held his with frightening intensity. "It means that in time, you and Arya may not be able to exist as separate individuals. Your thoughts will blend. Your identities may begin to overlap. It is a condition we have seen only once before in our history. Nearly 1,000 years ago. Two Veltharian warriors, who saved each other's lives repeatedly in battle. What happened to them? They became something new. Not quite one person, not quite two. They could not be separated even for short times without suffering. They lived as a bonded pair for the rest of their lives, which were long, but they could never truly be apart. Never have relationships with others. Never make decisions independently. They were, for all purposes, one being in two bodies. Jake felt cold dread settling in his bones. And this is happening to Arya? And me? It is beginning. The process is slow, perhaps taking years or even decades. But yes, it is happening. The Queen's expression softened slightly. "This is why I cannot, in good conscience, allow you to return to Earth, even part-time. The danger is too great." "Danger? You just said they lived long lives." "Two. Inexperienced. Two. They did, but they were both Veltharian, both warriors, both fully committed to their bond. You are human, Jake Morrison. Your lifespan is a fraction of my daughter's. Veltharians live for centuries. When you die of old age in a few decades, the bond will still be in place. Arya will die with you. Her neural patterns will be too connected to yours to survive your death." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. Jake sat down heavily, his mind spinning. "So, by saving her, I condemned her to die young?" "Not necessarily. There is one other possibility. One I did not mention before the court because it is radical and untested." The Queen sat across from him, her posture less formal now. "Human genetic therapy and enhancement have made remarkable progress in recent years. Combined with Veltharian medical technology, our physicians believe they could extend your lifespan to match Arya's, but it would require extensive changes to your body at the cellular level. You would no longer be entirely human." Jake stared at her. "You are saying I could live for centuries?" "Yes. You would age much more slowly. Your body would be enhanced to match Veltharian durability and longevity. But there would be side effects we cannot fully predict. Your appearance might change. Your psychology could be affected. You would outlive every human you know. Your family, your friends, everyone you grew up with would grow old and die while you remained young. Could you accept that? Does Arya know about this?" "She does. And she is in her chambers right now, struggling with impossible guilt. She blames herself for this situation, for the choice you must now make. Stay human and condemn her to a short life, or become something more than human to save her, but lose your connection to your own people in the process." Jake closed his eyes, reaching through the bond to where Arya waited. Her pain washed over him like a wave. She was crying. Her thoughts a mess of love and guilt and fear. What if I refuse both options? What if I choose the severance procedure? Then you both likely die. Our peoples lose the symbol of cooperation you have become. The diplomatic progress we have made would suffer. And even if you both survived, Arya would carry the guilt of your sacrifice for the rest of her very long life. So my choices are become something not quite human. Die in the severance attempt, or doom Arya to die with me in a few decades. Those are the real options. Yes, the Queen said simply. I am sorry, Jake Morrison. You saved my daughter's life. And in return, the universe has given you only cruel choices. If I could change this, I would. But I cannot rewrite the laws of biology and fate. Jake sat in silence for a long time. Finally, he stood. I need to talk to Arya. He found her in the crystal gardens, sitting beneath a tree that grew gemstones instead of leaves. She looked up as he approached. Her eyes were red from crying. Her silver skin was dim with sorrow. I am so sorry, she whispered as he sat beside her. You should have left me in that pod. You should have let me die. Do not say that. Why not? It is true. Look what I have done to you. Look at the impossible position you are in, because you were kind enough to save a stranger's life. Jake took her hand, feeling the warmth of her skin, the pulse of their shared bond. Arya, listen to me. I do not regret saving you, not for a second. You are brilliant and kind. You are going to do amazing things for your people. The universe is better with you in it. But your life is mine to choose what to do with, he interrupted firmly. Your mother told me about the enhancement procedure, about living for centuries, and I have made my decision. Arya's eyes widened. Jake. No. I cannot let you give up your humanity for me. You are not letting me do anything. I am choosing this. Do you know why? He touched her face gently. Because in the 3 months we were apart, I was miserable. Not just because of the bond's pain, but because I missed you. I miss talking to you, learning from you, seeing you smile. When I think about living a normal human lifespan without you, it feels like a waste. But living for centuries, exploring both our worlds together, building something meaningful between our peoples, that feels like a life worth living. You will outlive everyone you know from Earth. I know. And that will be hard. But Arya, humans are already starting to extend their lifespans. Maybe not to Veltharian levels yet, but we are working on it. Medical science advances every year. I'm see the 2022, who is to say that in a century, this will not be normal. Maybe I am just early to the party. Arya laughed through her tears. You are insane, probably, but I am also sure. I choose this, Arya. I choose you, and I choose the life we can build together. Will you have me? She kissed him then, a gesture that crossed the boundaries of species and culture. Through the kiss and the bond, he felt everything she felt. Love, relief, hope, and lingering guilt all mixed together. When they pulled apart, both were crying and laughing. I choose you too, she whispered. For however long we have. The enhancement procedure took 3 months and was the most painful experience of Jake's life. The Veltharian physicians rebuilt his body piece by piece at the cellular level. They rewrote his DNA to include elements of Veltharian physiology while keeping his human consciousness and identity. He aged backwards. His 34-year-old body changed to look like someone in their early 20s, then stopped there. GZF hell. GZF hell. The side effects were clear. His hair darkened to pure black. His eyes developed a faint golden shimmer, like Arya's. His skin, while still human, gained a subtle glow in certain lights. His strength and reflexes increased beyond human normal. He would never quite pass for fully human again. But neither was he Veltharian. He was something new. Something in between. When he finally emerged from the medical facility, Arya was waiting. She looked at him with wonder and touched his face gently. How do you feel? Different, but still me. He smiled. Ready to start our next adventure. They returned to Earth together 6 months later, beginning their new roles as the first blood-bonded partnership. The reaction was mixed. Some humans celebrated them as symbols of cooperation and love between species. Others protested, claiming Jake had betrayed humanity by changing himself. Religious groups debated whether he still had a soul. Political commentators argued about what it meant for human independence. Jake and Arya ignored the noise and focused on their work. They established cultural exchange programs. They negotiated trade agreements. They served as living proof that humans and Veltharians could not just coexist but thrive together. They spent half the year on Earth and half on Velthara, creating homes on both worlds. Years passed. Then decades. Jake watched his parents grow old and pass away. The grief nearly broke him, despite knowing it would happen. He attended funerals of friends. He saw his academy classmates retire while he remained young and active. It was the price he had chosen to pay. But that did not make it easier. But he also saw humanity and Velthara grow closer. The first human-Veltharian marriages happened. The first hybrid children were born, combining the best traits of both species. Technology was shared, ending diseases that had hurt both peoples. Art and music flowed between worlds, creating new forms of beauty. And through it all, Arya remained by his side. They worked together, loved together, built a life that spanned two worlds. The bond between them evolved from a curse into a gift. It allowed them to work perfectly together, to understand each other with a depth that normal couples could never achieve. One evening, nearly 50 years after Jake had first saved Arya's life, they stood together on the balcony of their Earth residence. They watched the sun set over the Pacific Ocean. Jake looked the same as he had at 25. Arya had barely aged either, still bright and beautiful. Do you ever regret it? Arya asked softly. The choice you made? Jake pulled her close, feeling their bond hum with happiness. Every time I lose someone I care about, I wonder if I should have chosen differently. But then I look at what we have built together, the lives we have touched, the bridges we have created between our peoples. And I know I made the right choice. Even though you can never go back to being fully human, I never wanted to be fully human, Jake said. I wanted to be myself. And this, with you, for however long we have, this is me. This is who I choose to be. Far above them, a Veltharian ship crossed the evening sky, heading toward the spaceport that now handled regular traffic between the two worlds. Children below, both human and Veltharian, and some, who were both, pointed and waved at the ship, a sight that would have been impossible just 50 years ago. Your mother was right, Jake said. The bond did change everything, just not in the way anyone expected. She asked about you yesterday, Arya said, watching the ships cross the sky. Wanted to know when we are coming home to Velthara. I Marka. Wanted to know. Home to Velthara, Jake repeated, smiling at the phrase. I like how that sounds. When do we leave? Next week. She wants us to attend the coronation of my nephew. He is taking the throne, now that she has finally decided to retire. 500 years is a good run for a queen, Arya laughed. She said the same thing. She also said that she is proud of us, of what we have accomplished. She 7 seas. Tensting Dui 1. Jake felt warmth bloom in his chest. Not from the bond, but from genuine pride in what they had built together. We have had help. Millions of people on both worlds working toward the same goal. But we started it, you and me. A human commander and an alien princess, bound by blood and choice. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. In the distance, city lights began to glow. Human and Veltharian technology working together to light up the night. Come on, Jake said, turning toward their home. Let's go inside. We have a coronation to prepare for. And knowing your nephew, It is going to be a party that lasts for days. Arya followed him. Their hands joined, their bond singing with quiet joy. Behind them, the stars began to appear in the darkening sky. The same stars that had witnessed their first meeting. The same stars that watched over both their worlds. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor. A young human woman appeared at their door, nervous and excited at the same time. She wore a university uniform and carried a recording device. "Commander Morrison? Princess Arya? I am Kate Sullivan, from Earth University. I am writing my thesis on human-Veltharian relations. Would you be willing to answer some questions?" Jake and Arya looked at each other, then nodded. They invited her inside. Kate sat on the edge of her chair, clearly intimidated by being in the presence of two living legends. "I will try not to take too much of your time. My first question is for you. Commander, do you think the sacrifice you made was worth it?" Jake considered the question carefully. "I do not see it as a sacrifice. I see it as a choice. When you sacrifice something, you give it up, unwillingly. I chose this path, knowing the costs and the benefits, and yes, it was worth it. But you gave up so much," Kate pressed. "Your normal lifespan, your humanity, your connection to your own species. I gave up some things." Jake agreed. "But I gained others. I gained a partner who understands me completely. I gained the chance to see two civilizations come together. I gained centuries to make a difference in the universe, instead of just decades. Not everyone would make the same choice I did. But for me, it was the right one." Kate turned to Arya. "And you, Princess? What was it like knowing that someone gave up so much for you?" "Kate," Arya was quiet for a moment. "At first, it was terrible. The guilt nearly destroyed me. I felt like I had trapped him, ruined his life. But Jake helped me see it differently. He did not do this for me alone. He did it for what we could build together, for the future we could create. Learning to accept that, to see myself as worthy of that choice, was one of the hardest things I have ever done. Do you think more humans and Veltharians will form bonds like yours?" Jake and Arya exchanged glances. Through their bond, they shared thoughts without speaking. "I hope not," Jake said, surprising Kate. "Our bond happened by accident. During a medical emergency. It caused both of us pain and forced impossible choices. I would not wish that on anyone, but," Arya continued, "we hope that humans and Veltharians will form connections by choice, through friendship, through love, through shared goals and dreams, not because biology forced them together, but because they genuinely want to be together." Kate nodded, making notes on her device. "One last question. What do you think your legacy will be?" Jake smiled. "I hope our legacy is not us as individuals. I hope it is the doors we opened, the partnerships we made possible, the children being born right now, who will grow up thinking it is completely normal to have friends from another species. That is the legacy I want." "Well said," a voice called from the doorway. They all turned to see Queen Seraphine standing there, smiling. Even after 500 years of rule, she still commanded attention, just by entering a room. Kate jumped to her feet, nearly dropping her recording device. "Your Majesty! I did not know you were on Earth." "I arrived this morning," Seraphine said graciously. "I wanted to speak with Jake and Arya before the coronation. But please, finish your interview. I can wait." Kate looked like she might faint. No. I have everything I need. Thank you so much for your time." She gathered her things and hurried out, bowing repeatedly. When she was gone, Seraphine sat down with a sigh. "That never gets old. Watching people react to my presence." "You enjoy making people nervous," Arya said, but she was smiling. "Perhaps a little." Seraphine turned serious. "I wanted to talk to you both before the coronation. My retirement is not just about my nephew taking the throne. It is about the future of our people, and I want your input." "Our input?" Jake asked, surprised. You have lived between our worlds for 50 years. You understand both cultures in ways no one else does. I am creating a new council, one that will advise the new king on matters relating to Earth. I want you both to lead it. Arya sat up straighter. Mother, that is a huge responsibility. One you are ready for. Both of you. Seraphine looked at Jake. You gave up your humanity to save my daughter and bridge our worlds. Now I am asking you to make that sacrifice mean even more. Help shape the future of human-Veltharian relations for centuries to come. Jake felt the weight of what she was asking. Through the bond, he felt Arya's excitement, mixed with nervousness. We accept, they said together. Seraphine smiled. Good. I knew you would. Now, let us discuss the details. They talked for hours about the new council, about the challenges facing both species, about the opportunities for growth and cooperation. By the time Seraphine left, Jake's head was spinning with plans and possibilities. That night, as they prepared for bed, Arya was quiet. Jake could feel her thinking through the bond. What is on your mind? He asked. I was just thinking about Kate's question, about legacy, about what we will leave behind when we are gone. We have centuries left, plenty of time to build that legacy. I know. But I want to make sure we do it right, that we do not waste the time we have been given. Jake pulled her close. We will not waste it. We will keep doing what we have been doing. Building bridges, teaching, understanding, creating a future where humans and Veltharians are not just allies, but family. Arya smiled against his chest. Family. I like that. The coronation on Velthara was everything Jake expected and more. Thousands of nobles and dignitaries gathered in the grand hall. The ceremony lasted for 3 days, filled with ancient rituals and modern celebrations. On the final day, the new king, Prince Kaelin, called Jake and Arya to stand before the throne. Commander Jake Morrison and Princess Arya Vel Morinth, he said in a voice that carried through the hall. For 50 years, you have served as a bridge between our peoples. You have sacrificed, worked, and built something beautiful from a tragic accident. Today, I formally recognize your partnership as the foundation of a new era. From this day forward, the title of blood-bonded ambassador is established. You are the first to hold it. May there be many more after you. The crowd erupted in cheers. Jake and Arya bowed, then returned to their seats. As the celebration continued around them, Jake thought about the journey that had brought them here, from a desperate rescue in hostile space to this moment of honor and recognition, from two strangers from different worlds to partners who could not imagine life apart. No regrets? Arya whispered, echoing her question from the balcony. Not a single one, Jake replied. Years continued to pass. The council they led grew in influence and importance. More humans and Veltharians formed partnerships, though none quite like theirs. Technology advanced. Cultures blended. The boundary between the two species became less clear. With each generation, Jake and Arya watched it all happen, guiding where they could, learning where they could not. They became fixtures in both societies, respected and loved by humans and Veltharians alike. One day, nearly a century after Jake's transformation, they received a message from Kate Sullivan. She was old now, her hair white, her face lined with age, but her eyes were still bright with curiosity. Commander Morrison, Princess Arya, she said in the recorded message, I wanted you to know that my thesis became a book, and that book has been taught in schools across both our worlds for decades now. Generations of children have grown up reading your story. You asked me once what your legacy would be. I think I can answer that now. Your legacy is hope. Hope that different peoples can come together. Hope that love and choice matter more than biology or tradition. Hope that the future can be better than the past. Thank you for giving us that hope. No, the message ended. Jake and Arya sat in silence, holding hands. She was right, Arya finally said. About the hope. We gave them a start. Jake agreed. But they did the real work. All those people who chose to reach across the divide, who chose friendship over fear. They are the real legacy. And home. We are just the symbol. Just? Jake laughed. Symbols matter. They give people something to believe in. Arya squeezed his hand. Then let us continue to be worth believing in. And they did. For centuries more, Jake and Arya worked to strengthen the bond between their peoples. They lived to see the day when asking someone if they were human or Veltharian became almost meaningless, when children of both species played together without thinking it strange. When the memory of a time before the alliance began to fade into history, through it all, their bond remained strong. Not a curse, but a gift. Not a burden, but a blessing. They had been brought together by accident and blood, but they stayed together by choice and love, and in the end, that made all the difference.